So Apple has revealed. Now, I will say, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Apple. I mean, I use a Mac, I use an iPad, I use an iPhone. I'm a big fan of Apple, and I believe their stance on privacy is incredibly important. You know, when the FBI wanted them to build a back door into iOS so that law enforcement could just have ready access to anybody's phones that they arrested, Apple said no freaking way. Right? We will turn over data to you, law enforcement, if there's a warrant, you know, and you need it, like some sort of iCloud data involved in a murder or something, and you present us with a warrant for that data. Yes, we comply with law enforcement. We always have. But we're not just going to build a back door so anybody can get access to people's data, photos, etc., right? We take it very seriously. And so now Apple has rolled out a new program. They're revealing a new effort to fight child abuse imagery. It's a new hashing system. Will be limited to images on iCloud photos. Okay, so if you have like iCloud backup of photos. So in a briefing on Thursday afternoon, Apple confirmed previously reported plans to deploy new technology within iOS, macOS, and watchOS, and iMessage that will detect potential child abuse imagery. But they went on to clarify crucial details from the ongoing project, as reported here by The Verge. For devices in the United States, new versions of iOS and iPadOS rolling out this fall have what are called new applications of cryptography to help limit the spread of child sexual abuse material online while designing for user privacy. It's called Neural Match. And what they're doing is the project says it's a new child safety page. It's the most invasive and potentially controversial implementation of this system that performs on-device scanning before an image is backed up in the cloud. So let's say the image or the device detects, it's going to be on device, okay, on the device. It's not going to be at Apple's headquarters. It'll be on your device, and Apple doesn't have access to that. They will then scan an image before you can back it up to iCloud. And if they detect that it is child abuse of some kind, then they could report this to law enforcement. So what they say is Apple does not learn anything about images that do not match the known child sex and abuse standard. They don't know anything about it in the database. Apple can't access your metadata or your visual derivatives for matched images until the threshold of matches is exceeded for an iCloud Photos account. They say the risk of a system incorrectly flagging an account is extremely low. In addition, then Apple will then manually review all reports made to ensure that the reporting is accurate. So Apple, what does that mean? That they can actually then manually, human interface, actually use a human to look at the photos and confirm?
This sounds like Minority Report type stuff. I mean, think about all the false positives that can come out of that. It's just like the AI. Like if you upload something to social and they're like, "Hey, this contains nudity," you're like, "No, I'm wearing a peach shirt. It's not nudity." Right. There's so many false positives all the time, and what's going to happen is, if that's what happens, they contact the authorities or something, and the authorities show up at some guy's door who's married with kids, and they're like, "We think you're abusing children or whatever." Think about that. Think about the implications and the possibilities that can happen. This is the kind of stuff I hate, because we already know that algorithms and all this AI gets it wrong more than it gets it right in most cases.
Yeah, because to me, all it takes is one time to get this wrong, where, you know, potentially, and look, maybe I'm wrong here, maybe this is a bridge too far, but where it could ruin someone's reputation, right? You're arrested, someone shows up at your house, knocks on your door because of this particular image or whatever, and now you're involved in something that's has nothing to do with child abuse. And now, I don't know. Maybe it's a bridge too far. Maybe I'm just making a leap here that I don't need to be making. Maybe this is going to be great.
Maybe you're filming a movie. You know, you're an independent filmmaker. You're filming a movie and you're taking a picture of your characters that you created, and they're bruised up or whatever, and all of a sudden, it's like the guy that was that had the government or FBI or whatever show up at his door, and they're like thinking he was a killer or something, but he was actually writing a screenplay And I want to say it's something like Dexter, but he was looking into how to dispose of a body or whatever, and all this for a script in a movie, and they showed up at his door. So there will be all kinds of false positives with this. This AI technology is not to the point where if you're going to launch something like that, it has to be flawless. It cannot have a false positive, because one false positive could ruin one person's life, and that's too much.
I think your example of the movie maker is a perfect example. Like, what if I am a filmmaker, right? And I'm there and I'm testing different makeup for a character in the film, and it involves like a child being beat up and they have like a black eye or something, right? And we're testing the makeup to make sure that it looks photorealistic or something. We're sending it back and forth in this virtual world. I'm sending you a photo. Here's an example of the makeup or whatever for this character. And it gets flagged.
Right.
And it gets flagged, and what happens is once it gets detected, the content then is blurred out and a warning message appears. The Messages app apparently already did on-device scanning of image attachments for children's accounts to detect content that appears sexually explicit. So now this, alongside the new measures in iCloud Photos, Apple added 2 additional systems to protect young iPhone owners at risk of child abuse. And also updating is how Siri and Search app responds to queries about child abuse imagery. Under the new system, the apps will explain to users that interest in this topic is harmful and problematic, and provide resources from partners to help with this issue.
I mean, also, think, kid wrecks his bicycle, takes pictures. Kid, runs into a wall. A kid gets in a fight with another kid, and they're showing off the pictures. There's so many things that I can see. I can think of 100 already that would be potentially false positives. This kind of stuff is dangerous.
Apple commissioned technical assessments of the system from 3 independent cryptographers who found it to be mathematically robust. In my judgment, this system will significantly increase the likelihood that people who own or traffic in such pictures are found. This should help protect children, said Professor David Forsyth. The accuracy of the matching system combined with thresholds makes it very unlikely, this is my favorite, very unlikely, that pictures that are not known to the child sexual abuse database will be revealed. Okay. All right. Again, maybe it's a bridge too far for me. Maybe I'm making too much of this. And look, no one wants children to be abused, of course. But can we trust an algorithm on our phone? And by the way, I just got to say, who's taking pictures? Is it just about the sharing of the photos? Because if you're in your photo roll, it's photos you've taken. So what person is taking, maybe there are, maybe people are taking photos of abused children and then sharing them with their friends. Who is that? Is that really happening?
Stephen Hall says, it happened to me when I photoed special effects gore makeup on my arm to friends and the cops came twice.
What? Stephen Hall, it happened to me when I tested photo special effects gore makeup on my arm to a friend. The cops came twice. How did that happen? Stephen, what did they, how did they know? How did they know that? That's crazy.
Well, and the thing is, this stuff, what happens is these companies create these things, they test them out, and then what happens is the government buys it, and then they implement it on a wider scale. So if Apple's doing this, make no mistake that if this ends up being something that they use, and they find that it has a, percentage of success, then it'll be everywhere.
Yeah. So you can read more about this. The project is also detailed on the child safety page on Apple's website. We'll have a link to that in the show description if you'd like to go and read that, so you can read all about their position on this, the expanded protections for children, sexual abuse materials. So again, maybe I'm leaping to conclusions here about this, but I think that to me this is you start peeling this back and you start to really get concerned. In my opinion, it's where do you stop?
That's just it. It doesn't. Once these things get in motion, they don't stop. And that's why, when people are up in arms about this kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, you conspiracy, like 5G. People are up in arms about 5G, certain people, because there's been tests and stuff showing how bad it can be with actual 5G, not the millimeter, like the millimeter wave 5G that we have right now. And those people are conspiracy theorists. But then once it like launches and comes out, and then it's like, okay, now they're using it for mass surveillance. Then those people are like, we told you, but you didn't listen. And it's like, this is the time right now when we should be voicing our concerns and saying, hey, this is dangerous. This should not happen. Give us more information. Like, at least give us more data. Let us make an informed decision. But the problem is with a lot of this stuff is they tell you the little nuances of it, or what it will do, but they don't give you the nuances and tell you like how they're doing it, what it's going to like it's kind of vague on very unlikely, they're saying, which means that if you say very unlikely, that means that it is possible.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like as someone just said here, I forget who just wrote it and it went by, but someone says they took a naked picture of their child. Oh, Kate says, I took a naked photo of my son because he had chicken pox all over his body. Mm-hmm. So, probably to maybe share it with the doctor or to document it or whatever. But, that's her business, right? And it looks like her whole body, the child's body is covered in like bruises and red dots and stuff. And, authorities showing up at your house. Yeah, it is like surveillance state kind of stuff, and it is frightening. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.